Look at any global supply chain. Every single day, billions of individual decisions and subjective preferences collide, resulting in a surprising degree of systemic cohesiveness. Orthodox economics explains this coordination through methodological individualism, the assumption that the market is the mathematical sum of its human parts. This view treats the global economy as a simple aggregate. It suggests that if you understand the psychology of one buyer, you can multiply that behavior by 1 billion to predict the entire system. But highly complex systems behave nonlinearly. They resist this kind of simple addition. FAA Hayek challenged this reductionism throughout the 20th century. He argued that markets are a spontaneous order, systems that emerge organically from human action, but not from human design. To bridge Hayek's intuition and the system's actual mechanics, we need modern philosophy, specifically Graham Harman's object-oriented ontology, or OOO. Both Hayek and Harman reject the idea that a complex whole can be understood simply by staring at its microscopic pieces. In this framework, the market exists as a compound real object, an autonomous entity with its own independent agency. Defining the market as an independent entity requires a new investigation into the actual mechanics of human coordination. Abandoning the aggregate model allows us to see how an economic order develops a resilience and a logic entirely separate from the intentions of its participants. We begin with the individual human actor as the fundamental unit of our model. For Harman, an object is irreducible downward to its atoms and irreducible upward to its effects on the world. It is a complex whole that escapes total understanding. This creates the withdrawn object. Because the total reality of an object always escapes direct access by anything else, these actors are separated by an absolute void. They cannot truly touch or fully comprehend one another. This isolation has historical precedents. Immanuel Kant described things in themselves that we can never know directly, and Jacques Lacan explored a similar boundary with the real. In economic terms, this philosophical isolation manifests as Hayek's concept of dispersed knowledge. Because knowledge is dispersed across isolated minds, no single intelligence or central planner can ever access the local constraints operating within a population. Subjective human preferences and local scarcities are entirely opaque to outsiders. They are withdrawn from everyone else's view. Within the economic space, human actors operate in a state of mutual darkness. If these actors cannot touch or access each other's local reality, how do they influence each other's behavior? This is the central paradox. A globally unified, efficient allocation of resources emerges from a system where every actor is completely blind to the local realities of the others. Philosophy resolves this through vicarious causation, the process where withdrawn objects interact via a third-term mediator. The price system functions as this mediator. It acts as a sensual object that translates withdrawn realities into a form others can perceive. Hayek illustrated this mechanism using the global tin market. Imagine a primary source of tin is suddenly eliminated, creating a significant global shortage. When the supply chain is disrupted, a signal pulse erupts from the source of the scarcity and enters the market's sensual layer. Crucially, a consumer on the other side of the world does not need to know why the shortage happened. They remain withdrawn from the miner's physical reality, spared the cognitive load of understanding the specific cause of the disruption, a purely vicarious interaction with the miner's scarcity. Prices function as a vital telecommunications network, successfully bridging disconnected realities and enabling global cooperation without requiring mutual comprehension. When we observe the totality of these millions of vicarious interactions happening simultaneously, a macrostructure becomes visible. This is catalaxy, an order created by human action but possessing properties that no single human could design. Neoclassical economics often mischaracterizes this as a totality, a monolithic, mechanical system that can be fully predicted. Institutional theorists suggest a more accurate term, the assemblage. An assemblage is characterized by being heterogeneous, plastic, and highly modular. It operates like a Lego construction. Elements can be added, removed, or interchanged without compromising the whole, unlike a rigid machine where one broken gear stops everything. This modularity grants the market emergent properties, such as a high capacity to withstand and recover from massive shocks. Applying object-oriented ontology here reveals that the market has an individual essence, entirely independent of the specific people currently participating in it. Much like the historical Dutch East India Company was an object distinct from its individual ships or employees, the market is a real entity distinct from the human beings within it. Mistaking this fluid assemblage for a rigid totality is the fundamental error of central planning. It assumes control over a system that, by its very nature, escapes structural fixation. The market itself is an escaping object, perpetually evading any attempts at microscopic reduction or macroscopic control. It is strictly greater than the sum of its human parts, but always less than the sum of the systemic effects it creates. If we move back to the human scale, we can see the philosophical weight of a single transactional exchange. Commerce requires each participant to acknowledge the existence and the needs of a distant other. In this sense, paying a market price is a performative act of recognition. This act legitimizes the claims of the other party, providing a reason for trade that doesn't rely on coercion or central decree. It is a voluntary, vicariously mediated connection that allows different realities to align. Viewed through OOO, we move past the idea that the market is a predictable machine or a mere collection of individual psychologies. We see it as it is, an autonomous, non-human actor with its own distinct agency. Grasping this ontological reality, the continuous, vicarious translation of human limitations, reveals the true underlying architecture of our spontaneous order.